All right. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. How you doing? I'm Shane.
I'm Katie.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
And the fact that Lex isn't here just means that this is going to go smoothly.
We hope.
At least Vegas odds. Vegas odds say it's going to go a little
Very much in
little
your
easier.
favor.
Right?
That's a good start to the morning.
Yeah, it is. I was talking yesterday about, I like having Katie here. If Katie happened to be, Katie and Lex were like compared like different, you go to comparisons about applications and stuff like that. And we have this, it'd just be check marks for Katie, and Lex would be an occasional check marks, but it would always have like an asterisk or something like that.
Lots of empty fields.
a lot of empty fields, maybe a doodle. Anyway, welcome. We're gonna talk about building packages for updates, particularly like Microsoft updates that aren't in the package library.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go off with the, if you can, use WSUS, because WSUS is your robust patching solution. This is more meant for, one-offs. You've got a critical patch that you have your manager breathing down your throat saying, patch everything now. Mm-hmm. This is for those sorts of things. This isn't, unless you want to dedicate your life to doing Windows updates all day, which sounds like...
Yeah, WSUS will handle those...
Much better.
Yeah, because it's Microsoft patches, you know what I mean? So they've got it dialed in on, this is superseding this one, and this one's been superseded, et cetera, et cetera. But we know that there are times where you just want to get a patch out quickly. It may not be available, like Katie mentioned, it's a one-off. It may not be available in the package library.
And there's a lot of things that aren't included in the cumulative updates, like out-of-band patches, servicing stack updates, Office updates, things like that. If you've got Outlook is causing your users to scream, patch it, fix it, shut them up. Mm-hmm. It's always good.
So we'll jump into that, and by we, I mean Katie.
Sure.
Let's do it.
So first we're going to start with reporting. There's a link in the bonus content about creating a report to look for machines who are missing a patch. Mm-hmm. So if you need to, there was a recent one, it was an IE vulnerability that was patched and included in the cumulative update for Windows 10, but not for Windows 7 Server 2008. So you need to patch IE for those machines. You need to find out which ones they are. So we're going to create a collection. So this is an example that's, if you want to copy it later, there's a pretty picture in the bonus content.
Follow along. Let's go ahead and center that window a little bit.
We want to see all of it. So because we're doing Windows 7, I'm going to put an operating system condition.
Remember, the OS is the short name. OS name would be the full name that shows up in inventory, like Microsoft Windows 7 Enterprise. But for the OS, the actual OS column or that field, we shrink everything down. It's 7, it's 10, it's Vista.
2008 R2. Yeah. I don't remember if there's a space.
Let's try to make it small,
Space, I think.
And now you're going to say, you got to change that. So here you're talking about two mutually exclusive. In this one, if you don't change that group filter or move it down.
So this is going to be a two-parter. We're going to look for the operating system, and then we're going to look for the KB, because the KB can differ based on operating system, and you don't want to, try and find Windows 10 machines that don't have this KB, because, of course, they're not going to have it, because they don't need it.
Okay. You're going to change that second all to any?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing her off her groove here.
Making my brain work.
So this one will not work on 7 or 2008 R2, is that what you're saying? All right.
There we go. It's the third time's the charm. All right.
Remember, actually the order of these is very important as far as these group filters. It is fairly important, just so you know. Play around with this. We really recommend it.
I'm going to cheat because I always forget what this column's called.
Hey, that's the cool thing. She says cheat, but life is an open book test. So if you're needing to know what KB to look for or application, find a machine that has that and kind of copy that.
So, and Microsoft always releases information pages about their KBs that they put out. You can pretty regularly assume it's support.microsoft.com/KB and then the number minus the letters KB, and then it'll expand it out to the really long, ugly one. So I'm going to copy the KB number because I hate typing. But this is the KB that we're going to look for on our Windows 7 machines.
And
add the KB because inventory has it.
Yeah.
So
That would still work without the KB though, right? Since it's just
Since
contained.
If you did
Contains.
contain, yeah, since you did
If I did
contains.
equals, it wouldn't.
And be careful. Generally speaking, you can do stuff like equals the KB number, but there are a lot of patches from micro. This is where the cheat sheet comes in. Go find a computer that has it, where the name will actually say security update for KB, whatever. So be careful with equals. Make sure that is, if you're doing equals, that's the value that's always going to be there.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got this one machine, Beth doesn't have it. Great. The other great thing that you can do, now that you've created the collection, if you need to hand your manager a piece of paper, and be like, here's your report, sir. Right-click, new, report from collection. We'll take all of those filters that you just put in, and we'll stuff them into a report for you.
So there's the filters
Yep.
right there. And you can also do the reverse. You can take a basic report and convert that to a collection.
It goes the other way. So if you've already created the report and you want a collection, you can do that.
You cannot convert from a SQL report. You can convert from a basic report.
All right. Oops. We're going to save that just in case we need it later. So we've got a collection for our missing IE patch. We're going to have one other one. It's an Office patch that we're going to cheat ahead and look. So I'm going to grab the KB number real quick.
Remember, you can go, once again, if you go to inventory, find a computer that has that patch, there's going to be a link, usually a URL Microsoft provides that you can just click on that URL within inventory and that will open up, that'll take you right to that support page.
So this is an Office patch, and obviously it's not limited by operating system. This applies to Office 2016. So if you want to add, if you've got a file scanner, you can look for the presence of the Excel file if you want to avoid any update does not applies if you're targeting these collections.
Mm-hmm. Or you could also say look for Office that contains 2016.
Yeah, or a lot of the Office updates, which is they're a little bit more complicated, which is part of the reason why you don't see them in the package library, is they can release updates for Office 2016 as a whole, but also for Excel 2016 all by itself. And if you've maybe got certain Office suites and you haven't installed all of the individual applications, probably don't want to throw this at, the accounting department the accounting department has to have Excel. That's kind of a stupid example. You got like the janitors, they need Outlook. That's it. You don't want to send this to the janitors and then be met with a slew of update does not apply.
Here, we're going to hurry and update your access there, buddy. So you can create those access databases all the time.
That you've been just burning to do.
Perfect.
All right. Well, apparently they have. There we go. Everybody doesn't have that because it's a lot of machines. All 52 of them.
Can I show us something real quick?
Go for it.
So here so here's the machines missing the Excel patch. Notice that Katie put it under a not all. Let's say we want to remove those machines that are offline.
Yeah.
We can just
Let's do
add a
that.
new filter here in the computer, and we'll just go down to online, and we'll say that is false because we're saying not all of these, and you can actually change that now to not any. So I don't report a computer if it's offline. I don't care about it right now. It's because I can't patch it. So we can just change that, and then that will remove those offline computers. And now you can look at these are the ones that I can affect right now.
So now that we've got those, let's build some packages.
Let's do it. Rock on.
So we've got a couple different types of update files. We're going to start with the easiest one, which is an MSU file. An MSU file is what you'll find in the package library with the cumulative updates, the monthly rollups, and the security-only patches. So they're a lot like an MSI, where there are just basic parameters that work.
Yeah. We
And
like
Deploy knows what
we
they
like
are.
MSPs, MSIs, MSUs because when those are the install file, we ought to already know with a reason with a high degree of confidence how we can make that run silently.
So what I'm going to do, and this is another cheat that I take, although technically we're the ones that built these, so. I'm going to take the Windows 7 and Server 2008 R2 security only update and download that so that I get all of the conditions and all of the other good things that come with the package that you don't want to have to do.
This falls back into the life as an open book test. You've got packages in the package library. Go ahead and use those as a cheat sheet. Use them as a template.
Yeah, I mean, we beat our heads against the problem, so you don't have to.
That's right. So here, you've duplicated that.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got an existing auto-download package that you want to send out the security-only patch to your machines, great. If you have the whatever you want to do. I duplicate it so I can turn the second one into a standard package so that I can, remove and rearrange some steps. So
go ahead and change that one to, go to the properties, there you go. So we're going to convert to a standard package. Once you convert something to a standard package, you should know this, but refresher at least, that means that this particular package will no longer get auto-downloaded. In other words, when there's a new update that matches this criteria, it's not going to be automatically applied to this package. You've now made this kind of standalone in a way.
We'll just... I'm going to leave the other things because we're not going to look at them. So a couple things that we wanted to look at. You probably noticed in all the Windows Update packages, we've got these two PowerShell scripts. One, the first one, stops the Windows Update service. It takes note of what the service was, whether it was disabled, automatic, manual. It stuffs that into a text file, stops the service, proceeds with the Windows updates, and then once those are done, it reads that text file and puts the service back to the way that it found it before you did the deployment, so that we don't mess with any of your service settings for that one.
Yeah, I like that. I like that we just don't stop and start. We actually, you do need to have this running in order to have this work. Or I should say, you have to change. You may have to change the state, but we're not just brutal. We'll always return it back to the state that we found it. To do no harm. By the way, interesting while you're doing this, I like that Tyson just piped up that he uses a pre-step. Pre-steps are popular in the auto downloads, but he uses a pre-step that runs a PowerShell script to download and install Windows updates that exclude the OS updates. So if you want to share that, Tyson, we'd sure love to see that, bro.
Well, gee, Notepad++. You're
Crash
being
Notepad.
helpful today.
How big is that file?
It's like 16 lines of PowerShell.
Oh.
Notepad++
That
is
usually
being
happens if there's
stingy
like
today.
10 megabytes of...
There it is.
Interestingly enough, I've had people ask, why would you ever want the 64-bit version of Notepad++? And for small scripts and stuff, it's not it's 32-bit, 64-bit is fine. But there are times you use Notepad++ to read log files and stuff that get really, really long, just big files. That's where the 64-bit version comes in handy.
It's over 2 gigs.
You'll hit that 32-bit limit when you're. If you have a 2-gig script, then you probably need to rethink your scripting.
Yeah. This is in the bonus content as well. If you look in one of the links has an example of the script, so you can copy paste if you want to keep it for other purposes. So we've got the framework for a package. I'm going to go out and grab the IE vulnerability.
Okay.
So oftentimes you'll see the option to grab. Oh no, just kidding. Yeah, we're going to do that one. I'm going to do this one because it's actually the one that I was talking about. So on the KB info page, they give you a download link to go to the update catalog. So, woo.
The update catalog.
Straight out of
That
2000,
yeah.
2001.
Oh, yeah.
The technology is blowing my mind. Well, I still love the fact that this didn't work in Edge.
When they came out with it, it was
for the
amazing.
longest time, Edge couldn't open the update catalog.
It's an embarrassment on Windows.
All right, we got our 64-bit and our 32-bit.
Go ahead and center that window.
Yeah,
we'll take a question while we're downloading it. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Yeah, throw up. Throw down.
Please don't throw up.
Hey, Kelly, go ahead and hurl all over that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That inexpensive equipment you got in there.
Dear Shane and Katie, is it possible to create a scanner in PDQ Inventory which would do the following? 1. Scans computers and find missing MS updates, and 2. Installs missing updates from the PDQ library or somewhere else. This method would be useful also for other applications. Thanks, Jory.
Possibly your best bet is going to be to run something like, what is it, WAUCLT or...
The Windows Update client?
Yeah.
No.
Just kick that off and say, hey, go check for updates.
I don't know of a way, maybe if we got Josh, our phone a friend. What do you got?
The way that I'm reading that is we want to scan for missing KBs. That's already built into the standard scan profile. So you're already going to grab that with the hotfix scanner.
Yeah.
And then you guys showed that report to show missing KBs. So then you can use that report to then show what's missing where.
And that helps when you kind of know what you're looking for. I think what Jory is asking is there a way on that computer where I can just say, I need to know all the patches that are missing? And I don't know of a way on that computer that you could That computer has that. That's where WSUS would come in.
Yeah, I'm saying that's a WSUS report real quick right there
And
to show
WSUS
applicable updates.
If you really feel like diving into COM objects and a bunch of other things,
I will say this:
the
we do have customers I know that use that the Windows Update client to do a scan now or detect, and then that will populate WSUS with, hey, I'm running this now, and according to what I currently have installed, these are the patches that are missing. But we don't interface with that natively, so that would go up to WSUS.
Yeah, I've seen Chris do some tricky things with PowerShell too, and talk with the Windows Update API, but I can't say what they are. They look like black magic, so.
A lot of things that Chris does kind of look like black magic.
Yeah, he's typing away on his keyboard.
We're talking about you, Chris.
If
He's
you're
a wizard.
listening.
The guy, for those of you who know Chris, our PowerShell, one of our many PowerShell gurus. Boy, this really does remove a couple of layers when you're trying to figure him out. He wasn't allowed to go to recess for several years because he was like allergic to everything, sunlight, air, human contact. I don't know. So he spent his elementary school years in like the computer lab because he wasn't allowed to go outside and play.
Learning C and playing video games and doing all those wonderful things.
See how that's all it takes to become a great PowerShell guy. No recess.
It was a good investment in his future.
Yeah, actually it
Great
was.
investment.
All right, what do we got? So
All
here
right.
we got to add some. Well, for MSU, we don't have to add parameters because we automatically know.
So I'm just going to go browse out. I mean, you want to copy these to your repository. I'm going to be lazy and just grab them out of my downloads folder because I don't feel like copy pasting stuff. So, oh, they're still there from yesterday. Good job, Katie. All right.
Look at the download date.
Well, they're going to be the same. Maybe I did them twice. All right, so we've got our KB for 32-bit, and we got our KB for 64-bit.
All right. And of course, you always have the conditions tab. Don't forget about that, please.
Yep, so there it is. We copied this. I mean, I've set these on, I always set these on steps for packages in the package library, and it's never fun to have to click through a whole bunch of things and set the conditions. So one thing I am going to set, since we made a collection earlier, which is why we did that first, I'm going to
I love that.
use
I
an
love that you're
inventory
using
collection
this.
condition.
Well done.
The best.
Yeah, you've got your collection. You can just say only, before a computer, before we'll deploy this. This computer must be a member of this collection or not a member of a particular collection. It's
One of the lesser known but powerful.
lesser known, but
features.
so unbelievably powerful conditions. And another thing, may I show something?
Go for it.
Since we know that this is already a Windows 7.
Actually, I did this on the wrong step.
That's okay. Yeah, go to properties. When you go to properties and do conditions, if a target doesn't match the conditions on the prop that are set in properties, it won't even bother running the other steps.
Nope.
It's a package level property.
It'll
So
go
if this
check.
is only good for Windows 7 and 2008 R2, guess what? You mark that here in the conditions, or you can do the PDQ inventory collection, something like that, and then it's not going to bother running any of the other sub steps. It's fantastic.
Yep. So, got those set. We're good to go. So that's the easy one. That's deploying an MSU. We'll fling it at those if we want.
Well, it's not deploying, it's building a package. We haven't deployed it yet. We don't have to deploy it. You probably know how to do it. But yeah, we're building it so that you
Oops.
can deploy it.
I'll clicky the button. This button.
And of course, we're hoping that you grab the right.
The right patch.
Mhm.
Hopefully I didn't grab it for like some server 2012. There's my one machine. Hooray, it's deploying. So we're going to move on to executable files, which you see these in Office updates. Sometimes you wind up with other Microsoft applications. A lot of them are going to be the same.
The same parameters, yeah.
Which it also in the bonus content it's a little bit outdated because it talks about XP, but there are some parameters in there that should work. They're mostly the same.
Okay.
Microsoft seems to agree that quiet, no restart is a pretty good parameter to continue using, but we're going to ask the installer after I download it. So this is going to grab the executable for an update for Excel 2016.
Okay.
Came out in December.
We pretty much
famous-
have this as a question.
Okay.
We can throw
Yeah,
it
go
up
ahead and
there
pop it
as
up there.
Yeah.
Can you do Office 365 Office 2016 updates with PDQ? Sincerely, M. Brad M.
The answer is yes, but we don't
Kinda.
at this point we don't offer those in the package library.
And Office 365 is a completely different animal. You will have already set, when you deployed Office 365, when you created your config XML, it will have picked a channel of updates that those machines are going to reach out to Microsoft and grab the updates.
Or
Whether
if
you
you,
want them to
or
or
if you
not.
have WSUS set up, it will reach out to WSUS, and WSUS should go out there and grab those Office updates.
I saw some conflicting information on that.
For
When I looked
365.
at the recent config.xml, that generator that they have out on GitHub, I couldn't find a way to target a WSUS server.
Point this Office install at a local WSUS
I
server.
did not grab the Office 365 ADMX templates, so it may be in there.
I think actually it does because it still requires the Windows Update, and when you can control from group policy the Windows Update behavior and say, anytime you're instantiated, you must go to one of these WSUS servers and never go to the Windows Update.
Yep.
So if and I know WSUS will handle Microsoft Office. I'm assuming they handle 365. I could be.
I assume so as well. I dug through the ADMX.
Where's Moskowitz? Let's get him out here from Philadelphia.
Right?
It'd be great. Just for this one question.
Regarding Office 365, we do have a webcast or two regarding the topic.
Okay.
Yeah, about deploying them.
Deploying it,
And
yes.
then, you let Microsoft handle your updates or your WSUS server.
But there's your exe. Now,
Yeah.
how are you going to look for the usage statement for that?
Well, I'm going to remember that the start button doesn't do what I'm used to on this computer.
You can right click on it.
My second muscle memory.
So clear out your run field, and then just drag that exe out to it. And this works for a lot of applications, not just Windows. And there's some that don't work. But if you do a space and then a / question mark, this is always a good way to try to find out those parameters. You should see, hopefully, if it's built properly, you should see a usage window.
Yeah.
In the command line, this is known as a usage statement, but here you can see all of the different parameters that they support. And obviously we're interested in the quiet, always interested in the quiet, almost always. And then probably no restart.
Yeah, I like that option. Let me handle the restart on my own.
Mhm.
So,
I will say this, a little gotcha for those of you who use it, and I know a lot of you need to push out the Microsoft Visual C++ updates, of which there are many, and they exist side by side. So you might have Visual C++ runtime for 2008 and 2010, 2012, etc. Right around 2010, they started adding additional parameters. So the quiet no restart will usually work, but there's additional parameters in the later versions of that compiler, just so you know.
yeah, every now and again you see a weird one show up. So,
So always just do a quick run of that. Maybe
Quick
grab a
check.
screenshot so you can just
Refer
make sure
to
you're
it
doing it
later.
right.
So I've got a package here. This is the Excel update that we downloaded, and then I'm just gonna quiet. Restart.
And notice how that, go ahead and circle that. Notice how when we did that, it automatically appended to the command line. Those of you, we've stated this before, that always add your command line parameters by hitting custom and then typing it in there. That is generally not the way to do it. There's very few cases where that is required. That's why we have the custom. Generally, you just want to put them here in the parameters field.
A little easier to make deploy squish them together for you.
Yeah.
Machines do work for you. Clear that out. So, and then you can add those two scripts to the step one to
The Windows Update Service.
to stop and revert the Windows Update service. Some updates we've noticed apply significantly faster when the Windows Update service is not running when you try to apply the update.
Yes.
Good times.
Those of you who've ever gone out to server fault and seen those questions that have piled up for years, why does it take so long to check for updates? Honestly, if you kind of stop and start that Windows Update service, it cuts that time down significantly.
Yeah.
Sometimes by an order of magnitude.
I don't know why that's not documented. Or maybe it is, and we just don't look for it.
Does this one have an XML file?
No, this one doesn't have an XML
Okay.
file. That brings me to the next option, which
All right.
is sometimes you get an update which is a cab file. Cab files are fun because usually they contain an MSP, sometimes an MSI, and then usually a metadata file that's an XML file.
That is
Together,
that is kind of required.
yeah,
Okay.
it's useful to have. So this same update, you also see these a lot in Office updates. So if we go back here to one more page. Our Excel 2016 update, and this time if we go grab it from the Microsoft Update catalog, so I'm going to grab it for 32-bit, and that's 32-bit Office, not necessarily 32-bit Windows. So if you have 32-bit Office installed on a 64-bit machine, you probably want the 32-bit patch,
Yeah, you
not
want-
the 64-bit patch.
Yes. That it has been a gotcha, I know, for some people. Oh, this is a 64-bit machine.
It must need the
Therefore,
64-bit one.
I need the 64-bit Office. Well, you might have
Might
a
not.
32-bit Office. In fact, there's a good chance you will.
All right. Cab
We'll say
file.
this though: if you do have a, if you do have a 64-bit OS and 64-bit, if you see a 64-bit file, then you can always have a condition that says only run on a 64-bit OS, because as much as 32-bit will run on 64, 64 will never run on 32. So the other way, you can remove. Did anybody have 32-bit computer? Any of our people? Any of our customers have 32-bit
We see
OSs
it.
out there anymore?
Just thinking like Windows embedded. That's the only,
That's what I was thinking. I
only
mean,
thing I can think of.
the last time I saw it was here in our lab to test stuff. I was like, 32-bit Windows 10. Why?
Deep down in the bowels of the registry, there is a value that you can say when this value is set, it will treat that OS as a 32-bit OS, even though it's 64. So we had a customer several years ago saying, this shows every single one of my computers with a 32-bit OS, and they're
What are
all
you doing?
64-bit Windows. And we said, look at this registry value. I don't remember it off the top of my head. And sure enough, they had a group policy that was set long before he'd gotten there that effectively took all the 64-bit OSs and said, we're going to force you
You're
into 32-bit
32-bit.
emulation.
That's
Once he
amazing.
changed that, all of a sudden, inventory was like, hey, 64.
Oh, look. Yeah.
That must have been so frustrating.
Yeah, I think it was for him, but he was also very, very grateful to see that and fix this. So here we see there's the MSP and then the XML. So
Yep.
in this case, you actually need both files.
Yep. So I'm going to grab both of them, just extract them over here. I created a folder in my repository because reasons.
Perfect.
So we've got both of those. You don't actually need to add the XML. You don't need to do anything in the parameters to the XML. So let's,
As long as the XML is in the same directory as that exe.
which if you include it as an additional file in your package, in your install step, it deploy copies it both files over to the same directory so they can, see each other.
We'll show you
Probably
actually,
some-
there's two ways of doing it. It just depends. There's
Yeah.
one way is not recommended if you have a certain setup. We'll show you that right now. So now we're going to add an install step. This is an exe, right?
Nope, it's an MSP.
Oh, this is the MSP, that's right. So you're going to go out to, where'd you put that? In
I
your
dumped it in my
repository?
repository. In its own file.
There we go.
So I've
Perfect.
got the MSP, and if it's just the one file and there are other things in the directory with it, probably just want to do one additional file so that you just have the two and that's all you get copied over.
So yeah, this is in this case you could do it this way. Also, in this particular setup where this directory Excel only had these two files, you could avoid that by just clicking include entire directory. Where you don't want to include entire directory is if those are the only two files you need and there's subdirectories in there that
Like
have a lot
gigabytes
things.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if in this case you could have done either include entire directory or add the additional file.
This is one of the weird cases where you need to include an additional file, but you don't reference it in the parameters. So this feels a little strange to do, like it's incomplete, but it's.
But you will notice a problem. If there's a dependent file that, when you kick off this exe or MSP or anything, if there's a dependent file that's not resident in that working directory, you'll get bad behavior.
Yeah, I forget. Josh and I found the return code that it does if you don't have the XML file.
Yeah, it was a gnarly Windows return code. They're,
big,
they're
ugly.
long.
You know, it's
You gotta
often
download the
16.
hex.
There's often 1603. Is 1603 is we've called it before the garbage dump of errors. It just means a fatal error occurred. It's often a 1603, meaning something either existed that was expected or that wasn't expected, or didn't exist and it was expected. In this case, I wouldn't be surprised if I did see a 1603.
Yeah,
So.
something broke.
Yeah,
So there you
something
go.
went wrong.
Slam dunk. That's how you add those additional files. Yeah, there's a little extra work since these aren't in the package library. Go out there. It's great for the one-offs. If you are really trying to get a handle on all these hundreds of patches for Office, we'd recommend that you look at WSUS. Do we have any other questions?
Dear Shane and Katie, can PDQ natively work in conjunction with WSUS? If WSUS handles the approval and distribution of the patches, can PDQ just initiate the install and reboot? I know I can do this with PowerShell scripts, but didn't know if PDQ could do it internally. Thanks, Mikey B.
Hey, Mike, it is not a native feature. So, yeah, there are ways you can script it to do that, but no, we don't natively interface with WSUS.
Yeah, again, that's going to be the closest one we got is if you have a command step that kicks off the WAUCLT and tells it, hey, go check with the WSUS server for updates. It's about as close as it's a gentle suggestion to go check with your WSUS server. So
Yeah, and I know we have a lot of customers that actually have a package to scan now for the Windows Update client as well as apply the patches. So there's ways around it, but it's just really us calling that Windows Update client, WAUA, is that what it is? CLT, with the appropriate parameters.
Hey, Shane and Katie, what's a good approach for handling MSI 1058 errors with IE Flash updates? Sincerely, Billy Z.
Well, what is 1058? We'll have to go look at the...
I saw that question. I looked it up, and that 1058 means that it can't get to the service. Like, it couldn't start the service to do the patch or something like that. So it sounds like maybe that update service is disabled and not running, and you need it running, something like that.
Look at your... Okay, so may I? Go out to... William, go out to a computer that's having this problem. Open up that computer in inventory. You can go down to services and take a peek at the state. Find that service. There could be easily Adobe Flash Player service, maybe that's set to disabled or something like that. Look for something that is causing that. Maybe change that state, start it, and then try applying the update. And if that is the case, if it's because of a particular service, you can modify that the Windows Update. The way we handle the Windows Update service, those two steps, you can modify that to say, look for this service and make sure it's started. Change the state to manual, start it up or whatever. That'll probably get you what you want.
If this is happening on many other machines, could we add that as a package step? Could someone add that?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is that you actually make that a package step to say, as you run this, go out and make sure that this service is in the state that is needed to apply the patch. A lot of times, whether GPO or manually, somebody will take a service and mark it as disabled, so you can't start it if you tried. You'd actually have to change the start mode to something like manual or automatic, and then start it. But if it's disabled, then yeah, you could see some bad things when it comes to updating whatever that service is guarding.
Well, Colby says that the Windows Update service does have to be running for Flash updates, so probably the Windows Update service you're looking for.
You've got those two cheat sheets right there. Thanks, Colby. You've got those two steps. Grab a package from one of those Windows cumulative packages or something from our package library. Copy those two steps. Copy that script out, so those scripts out somewhere, and just use that.
Yeah.
Dear Shane and Katie, I know we're talking about installing Windows updates, but how about uninstalling Windows updates? Thanks, Chris G.
If the gods have smiled upon your hand, you can run WUSA, WUSA, WUSA.exe with the uninstall parameter and then feed it a KB. It's a quick Google search. If you do WUSA uninstall, you can find the syntax really easy. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it just runs the command and says, great, I successfully ran the command for you. And the command's like, I didn't do anything. And the update's still there. Sometimes an easy way to get rid of the update is to get the original update file from the update catalog and run it with the uninstall parameter. It does require, if it's a big update like a 1607 64-bit cumulative update patch, you do have to copy that over to all the machines, but it will usually get rid of it. So those are the two ones I have.
There are ways of doing it. Definitely. In fact, there have been a couple of updates that Microsoft has yanked in the last few years that we've had to do one-off package library uninstalls because it turned out to be a bad patch or something in here. Just deploy this out and basically remove that update. So there are ways of doing it, and it often requires a reboot.
It's not quite as easy as WSUS, where you tell the WSUS, you're like, uninstall this updates. And it's like, okay, I gotcha. I'll do it later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have any other questions?
Hey, Shane and Katie, is there a PDQ report that shows what MS patches are installed and not installed on all devices? We need it for auditing purposes. Thanks, Sharop G.
Hey, Sharop. Well, this kind of ties into one of the previous questions. You can find out which patches are installed. We throw that in the hotfix table. You can look at that in a computer level or in reports. But as far as what is missing, you would need to supply that information. Like, I know that we need these particular KBs, so you could then write a report that says, show me computers that don't have any or all of these KBs. But you kind of have to know what you're looking for.
We can't just. It's hard to it's hard to decide for every single environment which updates are important, because what you care about may not be the same as some other person across the country. So it's kind of one of those, you got to decide what's missing and then look for it. We can't decide for you. Wish we could, but.
And our final question from Jeff D. Can PDQ push Windows 10 major version updates like 1809?
If you try really hard, you can probably get it working, although it's not something that we recommend doing in support, because it's like doing an operating system deployment, which Deploy wasn't designed for. As part of the feature update process from one build of Windows 10 to another, the machine does have to go down for a reboot, so Windows can, grab all of your settings and hang on to them, and then, install the operating system and then try and usually badly put the settings back where it found them. That's the part where the deploy runner service that gets copied over to the target machine gets lost, and your console machine loses connection with the target machine. And so usually you wind up with the runner service died unexpectedly. Mm-hmm. There are ways, we've seen people who have done it, but it's just it requires a lot of personal tinkering on your part and your machines. So.
Yeah. And there can be a point where, I know we've had some customers that are like, I know that this is going to lose connection for longer than PDQ Deploy was intended to lose connection. So they'll blast it out and know that it might show a bunch of failed computers, but many of them actually took. And then they'll see, after that computer comes back online and do a new inventory scan, hey, these actually worked. It's kind of, you fire it and then
hope for the best.
Hope for the best. So there are ways, but it wasn't really intended for that. Just so you know. So while it can be done, you may not get the feedback from Deploy that you're used to of, oh yeah, this installed successfully and returned the code. No, it just immediately shuts down, and sometimes doesn't come back up for a while because it takes a little bit.
It takes a little bit. Our testing was pretty inconsistent, so it's not something that we usually recommend you do. There are a couple really great forum posts about some other people sharing what they've found and what has worked for them. So if you go out to the community, you can find those pretty easy.
Good question, though. Thank you very much. All right. Well, hopefully this will help. I know that for us here at PDQ, we've had to actually use this for one-offs, for really, really big, hey, this patch needs to get out right now. We don't want to wait for WSUS. Let's just blast it out. So hopefully this helped hit those really critical or one-off building of packages. Anyway, rock on. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Shane.
Happy New Year. I'm Katie.
Talk to you later.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Brad M. and Mike B., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to our support forums. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.